Yeah.
Okay, we're rolling.
All
Oh,
right.
God. I would run over there.
Oh.
My roll, let me run.
That's not good. Because your challenge today is running.
Bye.
No. And that's the end of our challenge series.
Okay.
Bye, everyone.
Okay.
What, week 6?
Why we're giving a check.
Are we on week 6? Yeah, week 6.
6.
Yay! Are you ready for your challenge?
Yeah.
Kung Fu Master. I actually kind of do want to see what happens if I just hand you this and step back.
I mean, first thing I do is just...
Never mind, give it back. Okay. Okay, so you're gonna work on some shoulder mobility. So we're gonna do, we're gonna start with an exercise that is not bad. It's the worst named exercise that I know. It's called a dislocate. I didn't call it that. I didn't name it that. I don't honestly know why it's called that. Because you're not supposed to dislocate anything, okay? Don't dislocate anything.
No problem.
Don't dislocate, this is the legal part. Don't dislocate anything at home. Alright, so essentially what it's gonna be is it's gonna be getting your shoulder rotation working. Starting wide is going to be easier, starting closer grip is going to be more difficult. The idea behind this is that your arms should be relaxed, but you're not locking them, you're not bending it. They're just kind of staying loose, right? I want to bring up over my head, pull all the way back, touch to my lower back without doing this, right? And without bending my arms. Usually the more challenging part is bringing it back up without your elbows bending, right?
Might be a challenge with the shoulder.
That's totally okay. So the idea of this is to go as far as you comfortably can. Just like with any stretch, nothing should ever hurt. It might be mildly uncomfortable, but it should be a productive discomfort. It should be like, my body's
not an actual dislocate.
Yeah, nothing should be like, maybe this is gonna rip. We'll find out. I don't want to find out, right? So it's, if you feel like it should feel like a good stretch, but there should not be any pain. Again, starting wide is gonna be a little bit easier, right? If you get to the point where you're like, this is as far as it goes, just hold it here and let gravity do the work for you. The idea is just to kind of let your shoulders relax and it'll pull you to stretch. Again, once you get to the point where you're like, it's not gonna go any further, that's not happening, then just finish the motion from there.
If there's pain, what do you do?
Stop. Immediately. Stop that. Stretching should never hurt. Stretching should never hurt. Stretching should never hurt.
You would be surprised. Like, you have to tell people.
I know, that's why.
I know. Well, especially because, like, so I have an injury, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, there are certain things, just like certain things that normal people can do.
Yeah, and that's why this is I accredit this to, knock on wood, my shoulders are one of the few joints in my body that I don't have chronic pain in, because I do shit like this and it keeps them super healthy, super mobile. I'm also very hard to shoulder lock in jiu-jitsu because of stuff like this, but it's like anything else. You have to work into it progressively and don't hit. Well, don't hit most people there.
So you hold it like this?
Yeah, just as wide. I go as wide as you comfortably can to start. Elbows are just staying soft. Yeah, that's good.
Maybe here.
Good. Try and bend your elbows just a little bit. There you go. Nice. And then right now, if your elbows bend more as you come back, that's okay. The goal is just to eventually be able to do this without your elbows changing angles as you go. Nice.
And you said your back. Okay, should your back?
Yeah.
Should your back be adjusting to move your arms?
Your upper body should be, or really your body in general, should be pretty neutral. Because I don't want to be trying to do this to adjust. I want to be able to rotate my shoulders without my body moving. If you need to at this stage, if that makes it a little bit more comfortable, then that's totally fine.
Do your shoulder blades move?
Your shoulder blades will move a little bit, yes. That's not necessarily the goal, but they're just kind of like, as a byproduct.
Like this is okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I'm like, I don't think I can move it without that.
Yeah, that's totally fine. Yeah, nice. And this is the fun part. And if you get to the point where it's a big struggle to come back up, you can bend your elbows to lift it again, right? If it's either that or like tear your shoulder. It should not be happening anyway. But again, the goal is to do without your elbows changing angle. It's also the first one. It should loosen up as it goes.
I feel a little bit in the shoulders. Because it's like it's healed like I want to say 80%.
Okay.
But there's parts like when I lift
Yeah.
my arm up certain ways, it still kind of pinches on.
Okay. If it feels productive to work through it, work through it. If it feels like it's getting worse or it's like you're just getting that like red flag feeling of, hey, I shouldn't do this, adjust the movement or just stop doing it entirely. Like I said, the biggest adjustment you can make right now is just bending that elbow more. The more that you do this, the more you practice it, it can help kind of loosen up. So it's like, is there still an active injury or is it like scar tissue or?
Can't tell. It was mostly good, and then I was like, let's do stuff, and then.
But it wasn't like an acute injury, like a tear or.
I didn't go get it checked out.
No.
It felt
bad.
like a tear.
Okay.
But it mostly was fine. When I did start doing stuff with it, and it was a little bit, and now it's at the point where it's like it's mostly okay. I should be careful with it.
In that case, general rule of thumb: go slow with it. Again, if it hurts more as you go, stop. If it's hurts a little in the beginning, but feels better as you go, generally it's okay. This is me speaking as not a medical professional. Talk to a doctor if you have an injury, right? I see it as somebody who doesn't talk to doctors. But
I do, it's more just, I think, yes, definitely if something hurts, go get it checked out.
Yeah.
But it's also one of those where some of us
we've been through it, so naturally we know what's going on.
I've cleanly tore the other one. I know what it feels like.
Yeah. So it's like
when I feel certain things, I'm like, I can tell if it's like a sprain or whatever, and I can see to a certain degree. Like my foot was bad, so I went to the doctor. Right?
Yeah.
But there are certain things where I'm like, okay, I've done this.
Okay. So yeah, in that case, like just go slow with it. Definitely don't want to overdo it. But that's kind of the nice thing about this is it should be a pretty gentle movement to begin with. Adjust the grip, bend your elbows if you need. It's really easy to modify to make it easier.
Do you raise your shoulders at all? Is it gonna be a problem?
If you need to, right? Right now, it's kind of the nice thing about this movement. It's not a one size fits all. Everybody's body's gonna move a little bit differently. Like if it helps you to get a big circle right now, great. Ultimately, you want to kind of be able to rotate around that shoulder joint without moving it a lot. But there's not, as long as nothing hurts, there's almost not a wrong way to do this. It's just what allows you to move through a full, healthy range of motion. How do you need to modify it to allow you to build to that progression? Let's do 3 more of these.
If you feel like you need to maybe widen the grip as you're moving,
Totally okay. 100%. Just don't narrow your grip as you're moving. Sometimes people are like, this feels great. And then they're trying it and they're like, it doesn't feel great anymore.
I just mean like at a certain point, right, I'll go and then I'm like,
that's 100% okay. Yeah, absolutely okay. Going out is totally fine during movement. I would not switch in during movement. I would make a narrower grip adjustment between reps. That's the right face. And like it's a gentle.
Yeah, it's like every time I'm like bringing it back in.
Yeah.
I feel like my arms want to go wider.
Yep. Which is fine. That's just your body telling you what you need. If they're like, this feels better to go wide, go wide.
Is it more of a stretch narrower?
Yes. It's a more restricted range of motion. Or I should say a wider. It's a bigger movement. Yeah.
Is that 3?
I think that's 3. Okay, I'm going to show you one more with a band instead. I like having people do that one because I find it's a better stretch. But I had you start with a harder version.
Why the stick instead of like just free moving?
It keeps your shoulders on a track, right? So and this is actually why you can you can just do this, 100% okay. But this doesn't put your shoulders into a just uncomfortable range of motion. It goes into a range of motion that you already have. So it's a little bit less of a stretch. Versus if you're forcing yourself to hang on to that, to like a post or a pole or a stick or whatever, even if you have to make a little adjustments, it's still keeping your body on a certain range of motion that if you've done it for a long time and you know how to do the movement, like I could do this stretch like this because I've done this for like 10 years. But if you're learning it, your body's just gonna be like, it's really easy to cheat.
What part are we stretching?
We are working, we're stretching your pecs, right? Especially your pectorals. Minors, your little tiny pec that attaches into your shoulder. We're stretching pretty much the entire. There's part of your pec that's tiny. This is your big pec muscle. This is your little pec muscle.
Just kidding.
I'm not gonna bust up the scientific names because also I will
mispronounce
them. We're stretching the rotator cuff. We're stretching your anterior delt or your front delt right here. Depending, we might also be stretching this depending on what your range of motion is as we're coming forward. But primarily, it's chest and it's your shoulder, basically all through your rotator cuff. I like this. This is one of my, if not my favorite stretches, especially for people who have any kind of sedentary job, play a lot of video games, right? Where you're in this position. Why do you think I'm having you do it, right? If you're in this position, everybody's pecs get tight, their shoulders get locked, and you can actually end up getting what's called frozen shoulders, frozen pecs, where your body's just like stuck like this and you can't really move it. So this helps counteract that motion, pull everything back into basically the position our shoulder should be in. If you're standing loose, like comfortably, your thumbs should point forward, right? Or maybe a little bit of an interior. Most people, when they stand, their thumbs point in towards their, like, oh yeah. Just watch people, look around, or even just like shake out your arms and stand. So like mine are like a little bit of an interior, like of an interior tilt, right? Or rotation in here, right? But a lot of people, their shoulders are literally fully rotated in their backs. That's where people get back problems. They get hip problems because their body does this. So
I'm just laughing because now I'm gonna walk.
And you'd be like, where are you? I mean, no one's gonna walk around like this, right?
I'm like, hey, don't move. Let me
But like seriously, look at people. Look at the angle that their shoulder is turned in at, right? Because if I, that's why a lot of people have bad posture too. Is because they're like this all day at a computer or driving or at school or whatever, and their shoulders rotate internally.
I was just looking up all these things to help back problems and stuff. So hey,
this is. Hey. Again, speaking not as a doctor, not as a physical therapist or anything like that, but in my experience, the majority of injuries that people will see, the majority of pain is because their pecs are too tight or their glutes are too tight. And especially in first world countries or Western countries where we're sitting a bunch, and that fucks up your pecs, it fucks up your glutes, right? And then your body has to compensate and usually it ends up being in your shoulder and your back. So if you have shoulder pain, if you have back pain, if you have hip pain, like that, strengthen your butt, stretch out your pecs.
Preventative stuff.
Yeah, this is preventative. This is restorative. This is. I had a client who, I think he separated his shoulder in a bike accident and could like barely move it. We did stuff like this, and now he has like no issues with it years later. And like it's amazing how much this stretch alone can help. But you can do it with the post. If you're at home, you have like an exercise band also works too. A towel. I've had people do with like a Swiffer or a broom. This is working great. This is also a little bit gentler because it still has that benefit of sort of keeping you on sort of a track, but there's more give to it. So if people find that it's a little uncomfortable to do with like a stick, or you're having trouble with something more like less dynamic, a band works fantastic. Here, just try that.
Also, pull it tight or stretch it?
Yeah, just so there's a little bit of tension on it. There's also, anytime you're doing any kind of chest workout, I have people warm up with this and then cool down with this. Because as you're working your pecs, right, it's gonna pull everything in. This helps pull everything back to where your body's supposed to be. If you're not making that face, you're not doing it right.
This is the face of people with injuries, fearful of new things.
Yes. Yeah, that looks good. Try to make sure your elbows stay soft here. So again, you're not trying to bend them unless you need to. You're just trying not to lock them out. Yeah, that looks nice. One more. And this should feel a little bit easier than the.
It is.
Yeah. So now you got options.
Interesting.
Yeah. That's it. Easy peasy challenge today. Boom. A little challenge dance. She goes a little woo. I saw you walk over the band like this.
Rolling.
Rolling.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, so I would like you to make a list of 5 things
Okay.
that you would like to do or get started on within this next year. And I don't mean like from now till the end of the year so much as, let's say 365 days.
Okay.
Within that time frame.
Okay.
Things that you would like to do. And I'm asking you to write it down because then it gives you time to kind of like really think about it.
Okay.
And things that, either narrow things down or it's a good time to kind of be like, you know what, I used to want to do this, now I kind of don't. You know what I mean? There are times where we're just like things that we thought we wanted to do a while ago and then we're like, you know what?
Not as important, never mind. That shit.
Yeah, so take your time, you can sit, you can do whatever.
Okay. Do I say them out loud? Do I write them out?
You will once you're done.
Okay. Does it have to be a, like, how do I phrase this question? Does it have to be like a concrete thing that I accomplish, or could it be like, oh, I want to focus on improving this, or I want to progress with this?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
And it doesn't have to be anything you accomplish, right?
Yeah.
It could be anything that you want to get started, right? Because sometimes, I don't like goals where it's finite, where you're like, okay, I want to attain something. Like, there are times when that's helpful.
Sure.
But a lot of times that ends up being a hindrance
Yeah.
to actually getting started on something, So I've really shifted my goals from this is where I want to be to this is what I want to take a first step on.
Okay.
And that first step doesn't have to be an initial first step so much as, like you said, if you want to improve on something, right? Just take that first step towards the improvement.
Okay.
Right?
Cool. I think I have my 5 then.
Okay. What? So cutting.
Don't cut that. Keep that forever. Get better at dancing.
Is that number 1?
No, it probably should be. Probably should be.
No, dance is a self-expression. You can dance however you want.
I mean, it's,
oh wait,
it's
it smells like somebody's cooking.
I know.
It's very distracting.
I was just thinking that.
So anyway.
Your list. Okay, number 1. It's probably not a surprise to anybody who knows me. Fight professionally. Wow, it's gonna look just like that.
I'm the one you're punching.
It's exactly how I punch too. Karate. Underhand karate style.
If you can land it. I've seen it.
I know.
Actually, a really nice thing.
I would break my wrist, but okay. Number 2, become fluent in French.
Oui, oui.
I'll see you then.
Like that.
And then they'll never let me back in the country. They're like, we don't want you. Goodbye.
Okay.
3 is compete in the gi, because I hate gi, and I think that would be.
Really?
It's growing on me, but like it's growing on me like a fungus. Where I'm like, I think it would be a good challenge for me as a martial artist to do something outside my comfort zone, and that takes away a lot of my advantages. So I think that it's something I want to do, but I'm also like. Number 4 is improve my teaching skills / ability to build a curriculum. So I want basically just improving as a teacher. And then 5 is I want to reduce my anxiety medication dosage. I want to be able to kind of wean myself down from that. So those are my.
Really good. Good stuff. All right. Challenge complete.
Oh, all right. Yeah.